Hello everyone, Kayla here, and this is What the Kink, a natural hair channel. As promised, I said that I was going to come back and do a video in which I was actually going over why I actually cut my hair, given the whole backstory of what brought about such a great change. If you are just entering into the chat, I had hair that was slightly past waist length, definitely approaching the hip, depending on the layered pieces. And here I am now with hair that is this length. So let's get into it. As a refresher from the video in which I showed you guys my salon experience, I did talk about two reasons that are not why I cut my hair. And so I did not cut my hair because it was super damaged. I also did not cut my hair because I found it time consuming or burdensome to style my long hair. As I also said in that video, I enjoyed my long hair. I took care of it with pride in my heart. I definitely am entering into the short hair season on a positive note for sure. And I think that, I mean, what better way? What better way than to come into it with positivity? So I know that this first thing is gonna seem really weird considering the fact that I am sitting up here with a part in my hair. But y'all, I started having these feelings like I would look in the mirror and I'd be like, I don't want my hair to be parted. Like I would see, like I really went in crazy with the center part the last couple of years. I say maybe the last 2 to 3 years of center part. Prior to that, left part shoddy all the time. And then when I was relaxed, I always had a left part as well. And look, that's where I'm at right now. And I was just looking at her, I was like, I don't want this. I don't want my hair to be parted at all. And so then I started doing things where like, you can brush back long hair and like kind of dry it without a part, and then it kind of like you can get the flop over from side to side or like kind of sit back. You can kind of do like a V type situation. So there are ways that you can style it without a part. You could also just cut your hair short in the front and have bangs. I didn't want to do bangs. Um, but I don't know, y'all. I was just overall like feeling of like this part I don't want. I don't want this. And then in my mind, I was like, okay, people with short hair don't have to part their hair. Like a lot of times they don't at all, right? Or they may have hair that flops forward, but it's not bangs. The overall hair is short. So that was the first kind of like feeling that I was feeling. Another thing that was kind of a feeling is that I no longer was like identifying with the long hair. Like, I would see someone with long hair, I'd be like, oh, that's my sister. Like, we in this together. Or I may see hair that's longer than mine. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to be me one day. I didn't feel that anymore. And it's very similar to the feeling I felt in my last few years as a teacher. Again, for those who just entered the chat, I was a teacher. I was a public school teacher for 9 years, and I exited stage left a little over 3 years ago. I now work for an education company. I worked for one company, and then a lot of y'all don't know this if you're not in my channel membership, so this is gonna be news to you guys, but last Christmas, a little bit before Christmas, a couple weeks before, I was laid off from that job. I lost my job, y'all. I entered the new year jobless, but hey, got a new job, period. February 2025, I started a new job. And so I work for a different educational company again. So I've worked for education companies. But it was like we would go to like retirement parties for people and things like that, or they would talk about people's retirement, or people would talk about, oh, back in my day. And I'd be sitting there, I'm like, girl, I am not relating with any of this. I was like, that is not going to be me. Like, we are not going to have a retirement party in the library for me. Like I was like, them and me, we are not the same. This is just not going to be my future. And so I was starting to feel that way about the long hair. I just wasn't seeing myself in long hair anymore. And since I've experienced that feeling and knew what it was, I was like, yeah, I am not going to have long hair anymore. Like, I'm not seeing myself in it. But what I was seeing is I kept seeing the girls with short hair, y'all. And I would see it and be like, that is so cute. Like, that is a whole look. I would be excited about the short looks that I was seeing. There's this YouTuber, she's not even black. She's not even a hair YouTuber. She actually had cancer, y'all. So she had long blonde hair. I followed her because I felt like her clothing style was similar to me. She wore the same clothing size as me. Shops at stores that I like to shop at. So I was watching her content and she ended up with breast cancer, guys. And she went through the treatments and all that. And so, of course, that involved her shaving her head down. And then eventually her hair has grown back and it was like a little pixie look. And I was like, I think she looked better than before the cancer. And she looked better than the wig she was wearing during the cancer. Because I was like, y'all, with my non-black sisters, they tend to wear the wig a little too far. I'm not going to go there. But the real hair underneath them wigs, I was like, that's a look. She looks so cute. And then pretty much anyone I ever seen cut their hair short, I never felt like they looked worse. They always look better. Always look better. So I was looking at these, I was like, that's cute. Like, I know what I am currently feeling is cute right now. And what is on my head at the time, I'm talking the past, what is on my head is not vibing with what I think is cute. So there was that. I think also the cuteness factor is, my child, which she is 15 months old now at this point. Now I get why people refer to their kids in months, because a 15-month-old is a lot different than an 18-month-old, y'all. But anyway, my kid is 15 months old, and she is hecka cute to me, but she don't really have no hair. Y'all, it's starting to get long, like kind of lords around the little like points of the back of her head. So there's like little curls looping over at that point. The rest of the hair is kind of laying straight. And so it's like, because it's just not long enough to curl. So she's definitely going to have curly hair for sure. I mean, look at the parents. But she just doesn't have a lot of hair. And I just feel like, I was like, some of her cuteness, I think, is in the fact that she doesn't have hair. Like, her cute little face and stuff is on full display because she doesn't have hair. I don't know. So I was seeing that and like, this is my child. She's of me. Everyone says she looks exactly like her dad. I don't refute that, but she definitely has Kayla seasoning for sure. There's like some features on there, like the shape of her eyes, like how my eyes are like this. Yeah, my kid has the same shape eyes. The top lip here, how did kid has the same top lip, even though she looks like her daddy. It's a weird thing to explain. But I'm like, this is of me, a child of me, and she has short hair and she's so cute. And then up until this point, I haven't mentioned the color at all. But guys, I've always seen myself with red hair. Always. For those of you who have been here with the times that I have used color gel, and I've done like 2 different brands of color gel, a couple different shades from the brands that I've used. And the most commonly repeated color would always be some type of red. Some type of red. I absolutely adore red hair color gel. Rest in peace to Gemini Naturals. They actually closed their doors because I think they got the most repeat purchases from me. And I have tried the Curlsmith hair makeup before as well, of course, in the red color. So I was like, let me go ahead and just make it real. I know what I look like with red or reddish hair because of all the color gel. I like the way it looks. For the longest, my profile picture on Facebook, my personal Facebook page, was me with red hair. Like, so I was like, you know what, let's make it official. I know what I look like. I like it. I'm into it. I've always seen myself with red hair. I knew that I would always have red hair eventually. And then going back to my child, guys, there's something that my kid thinks is absolutely hilarious. And that is grabbing fistfuls of someone's hair. When she was a baby, like much younger, she would just grab the hair and she would have it. Like, it was like a stability thing. Like, if you're holding her, she's got her hand behind your neck and she's holding your hair as like a means to stay up or for support or just, I don't know. But now that she's older, if you're changing a diaper and your hair is hanging down, she's gonna grab it and be like, I just thinks it's so funny. Or like the times where, she used to go on the toilet, but then she started having to freak out. They grow, they change. I put her on the toilet, and while she's sitting there, she's like grabbing my hair because I'm sitting in front of her to make sure that she doesn't fall in, or doesn't flip over the little toilet seat thing that we have. She also enjoys grabbing on her dad's hair. So it was just so annoying, y'all, to constantly have a kid have fistfuls of your hair. But I will say, on a comedic note, that if I lean down far enough, or I'm like cleaning underneath the high chair or something like that, and she can get access to this short hair, she does, like bop her hand on it or what. Yeah, so she still attacks, even now that I have short hair. So with this, I have completely exited myself from the game of long hair, from the pursuit of long hair. Like this is not the beginning of a new hair journey, guys. Like this is the look until I get tired of it and I want to move on. This is the look. I will probably be getting my hair cut to maintain this look. This is what I look like, okay? But I will instantly once again have long hair if you just check out one of the related videos over here that YouTube is gonna put. You click that and boom, I have long hair again. Always there, forever and ever, okay? Subscribe. I post videos every week and I will talk to you in the next one.